Welcome back, guys. My name is Patrick, and this is the Oilers Rundown. I have a few news items for you guys today, so let's get started. I thought I'd kick things off with some news from yesterday. I reported in yesterday's Fanatic Rundown that the Edmonton Oilers are looking to sign Kailer Yamamoto and Jesse Puljujarvi to bridge deals, which kind of goes in contrast to what most Oilers fans want. Pretty much everything I've read states that Oilers fans want Jesse Puljujarvi signed to an 8-year deal. The Oilers are currently set to begin dealing with the consequences of a bridge contract in the form of Darnell Nurse. Nurse signed an 8-year deal at $9.25 million last summer, and the Oilers, as we know, could have had Nurse at a much cheaper number if they hadn't bridged him twice. We'd probably be looking at Nurse making $7 or at most in the $8 million range instead of the $9.25 million that the Oilers will be stuck with now for the next 9 years. Now, don't get me wrong, I like Darnell Nurse. I'm happy the Oilers have him. But really, should Darnell Nurse be making $9.25 million a year? There's no way the Oilers should be paying that. They should have got a deal done sooner, and I'm not blaming Darnell Nurse for this. I'm blaming the Oilers. This is squarely on the shoulders of Peter Chiarelli and then Ken Holland after him for putting Darnell Nurse on 2 bridge contracts. They should have found a way to get a longer-term deal done. We knew Nurse was the Oilers' future. I'm happy he's going to be here, but I think we all wish it was at a cheaper price tag. So we do run the risk of running into the same problem with Jesse Puljujarvi and Kailer Yamamoto going forward, with the Oilers wanting to do probably a 2 or a 3-year deal at most. Yes, the Oilers are going to be extremely tight to the cap next summer, so if they can get Puljujarvi and Yamamoto on cheaper deals next summer, it does help in the short term, but do you really want to suffer the long-term consequences? I would prefer if the Oilers can find a way to get at least one of them done on a long-term deal, find a team-friendly deal where the Oilers can at least look forward in a couple years from now and say, hey, we at least have this guy at a great deal. We're not set to pay Puljujarvi $8.5 million a year or something like that. So, I don't know. I'd prefer at least one of those guys get done to a long-term deal, but the Oilers are looking to sign both guys to bridge deals, so hope it doesn't come back to bite them. That's the plan for now, so we'll see what happens going forward in the next few months and what kind of deals Kailer Yamamoto and Jesse Puljujarvi get signed to. Are we going to see both guys back with Edmonton? It looks like that's the plan right now, but as we know, things can change, so we'll see what happens here going forward. Bob Stauffer did also note that the Oilers could have moved Warren Foegele at the trade deadline, but chose not to. It does kind of look bad on the Oilers to flip Foegele that quickly. I think he just needs a bit more time to acclimate to the Oilers. He's had an up-and-down year, but I don't think Dave Tippett was utilizing him properly. He's had a bit more success under Jay Woodcroft, but I think we just got to work with Warren Foegele a bit more, try and find a fit for him. It's possible he becomes a cap casualty this summer, but at $2.75 million, it doesn't give the Oilers a ton more breathing room, so I'd actually be more inclined to hang on to Warren Foegele and try and move out other guys. We'll see what happens here going forward, but for now, I'm glad that Warren Foegele is still a member of the Edmonton Oilers. On today's Oilers now, Bob Stauffer reported that he thinks Evander Kane is going to get somewhere in the $4 million range on a 2 or 3 year contract on his next deal. It's kind of where I was thinking. I was probably thinking Kane's probably going to top out at $5 million at most, I would think. Ideally, you want to get him under $5 million, so $4 million is probably where you're looking at if the Oilers do want to re-sign Evander Kane. I think at this point they are probably going to take a run at it. Some fans want him back, some fans don't want him back. He is definitely scoring goals for the Oilers, but he does struggle in some other areas of his game. I think he's been a solid top 6 addition for the Oilers, but like I said, he's not without his warts, so we'll see what happens there. But if the Oilers do re-sign Evander Kane, it looks like we're looking at something in the 2 to 3 year range, probably around $4 million per season. Elliot Friedman reported on his 32 Thoughts podcast that the Oilers were in on Artturi Lehkonen from the Montreal Canadiens. I know a lot of Oilers fans here wanted him. Good friend of the channel, Brandon, he was mentioning to me all day how badly he wanted Artturi Lehkonen on trade deadline day. Ultimately, it doesn't happen. The Oilers couldn't match Colorado's offer. Where have we heard that before? Darcy Kemper. But I thought I'd throw that in there as a little tidbit for Oilers fans that the Oilers were in on Lehkonen, but ultimately couldn't match the offer that the Colorado Avalanche made to Montreal. As the Oilers welcome 2 new faces to the lineup tomorrow, defenseman Brett Kulak and forward Derek Brassard. Brad Malone has been loaned back to the Bakersfield Condors, so not sure if we'll see him back anytime soon now with the arrival of Derek Brassard. I think the Oilers' forward ranks are kind of set, so Brad Malone is probably staying in Bakersfield for a while, but we'll see what happens. There could be an injury or something else, and we could see Malone quickly recalled back to the Oilers. but for now, I think he'll be staying in Bakersfield for the time being. And speaking of Derek Brassard, he revealed in an interview today that he will be starting on the wing for the Oilers, so it looks like Ryan McLeod will be staying at center for the Oilers tomorrow. Don't have a full look at the lineup yet, but I will post that tomorrow on my Twitter account when it becomes available for you guys to check out. And one last note for tonight, the Oilers will face San Jose's newest goaltender tomorrow night, Kaapo Kähkönen, acquired from the Minnesota Wild on the trade deadline, so the Oilers will have to be at their best. I'm sure Kaapo will want to go in there and put in a good showing for his first game as a San Jose Shark, but Oilers have reinforcements of their own, and Derek Brassard and Brett Kulak joining the lineup. Hope is still that Ryan Nugent-Hopkins returns as well, so should be a good, exciting game tomorrow night, so can't wait for that one. That's all for me for tonight, guys. Let me know your thoughts on everything in the comment section below. If this is your first visit to the channel and you like what you see, please consider liking and subscribing for all the latest Oilers content. You've been watching the Oilers Fanatic. Thanks for being a fan. Have a great evening, guys, and I'll see you tomorrow for the Fanatic Rundown following the Oilers and Sharks. Take care, guys. See you soon.